You're planning for 2022. What should it look like? Martin Taggart Team Real Estate. Okay, need to talk about something serious, which is 2022. And you're in the midst of going through this mindset where this year went great for you, or this year didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to, or there was a series of things that took place. Could have been COVID, could have been your kids being out of school for the last half of last year and now back in school for the first half of this year. Could be the fact that you might have a spouse that had to change industries from one industry to another based on accessibility of their business. There's a lot of things that can take place. What we're going to focus on today is the mindset of change with regards to where you're headed for planning for 2022. Recently, as we take a look at our own team members and we talk very candidly about what's working and what's not for each of them individually and collectively as a group, it comes to mind, number one, that your mindset about change is something that can be fluid. If somebody offered you a brand new 2022 Corvette, taxes paid, and gasoline free for the rest of your life until there is no more gasoline, what would your mindset about that be? Maybe pretty positive, or if you're an RV person, maybe be like, how fast can I sell it to buy the RV that I want? Either way, it would be generally positive. You're gonna get something free that's paid for, yada, yada, yada. Then again, if somebody told you that they were gonna take away gasoline and everything was gonna be electric next year and you were gonna have to sell every vehicle that you own to keep up with the new fuel type, that uncertainty might make you a little less than happy. So rule number one, people are generally happier with unhappiness than they are with uncertainty. Hey, believe me, I'm not trying to be the bearer of that mindset. It's not the way that I believe, and I hope it's not the way you believe at the end of this video. But I do know that in general, when you look at studies by schools of psychology around the country on this phenomena, there are people that will stick with things they know, even though they make them unhappy, because they're things they know. And how many people do we come across in our normal daily walk who are happy remaining in situations that don't generate happiness for them, but at the same time don't necessarily get them to where they want to go? Something to consider, number one. Number two, growth brings uncertainty. So go back to number one. When you're thinking about growing, you're thinking about first honoring, man, and I am celebrating whatever brought you and I together in this video, whatever you've accomplished this year in our industry. One thing's 100% certain. Your plan worked. The good news is it worked. You manifested, you brought about wherever you're at through what you did and the beliefs behind what you did. It worked. But in point number two, we're talking about the fact that the mindset of change brings uncertainty, and sometimes that's a difficult thing. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. This will make sense. You wonder why most of the Olympic swimming records are done from the center of the swimming pool. That's because that's where they put the fastest swimmers. Now there are some meets where it's a draw and they draw the lanes, but there are other meets where they put the fastest swimmers in the middle. Why do they do that? Because on the way down to the other end of the pool, they face the least amount of turbulence in the water. The slower swimmers, being on the outside, face the most turbulence from all of the swimmers in advance of them, as well as the waves that are bouncing off the sides of the pool wall. But the swimmers on the outside lanes, where there's a concrete barrier, are also in the position of safety. They don't have to worry about people crossing into their lane from both sides, only from one side. Are you playing it safe? Are you playing it safe and remaining at the outside of the pool because you're afraid of joining the big dogs in the center? Right? Which takes us away from point number two, how the uncertainty related to change can impact us, to point number three. Are you willing to do something different? Whatever plan you had worked awesome. If you sold 10 homes this year, or 20 homes this year, or 30 homes this year, man, high five, I'm up there with you. But if you want to sell more next year, or sell more faster, or sell more faster and easier, or generate a system or a process that's going to allow you to double your output, double your income, which is very possible to do, you're going to have to move from that position of the outside lane into a position of relative uncertainty. Even if you bring on systems that are certain to multiply your efforts, it's still going to be additional change. Our plans have to change. Our plans have to grow and evolve for two reasons. First of all, our industry is becoming more and more about transparency and forward pacing. We'll talk about that in a second as issue number 4, our final issue. The second thing is, for the first time in our industry, now it's been 2 years in the making, boomers are not the primary drivers. Millennials are. And millennials, Gen X, Y, and Zers have a much different perspective about transparency than boomers did. Boomers had the mindset that if you were getting to where you wanted to go, what happened on the backside didn't matter. Millennials, X, Ys, and Zs all want to know exactly what's taking place. They want to be forward-paced, future-paced. They want to know what's going to happen next. That pacing is super important for us as agents, not just in delivering the right results to our clients, buyers, sellers, investors, but also in delivering a deliberate, repeatable process for ourselves. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Whatever process you use to get here this year for most people, lovingly said, was by accident or by blessing. Some really cool stuff happened to you and that worked. For a very small percentage of people, they had a plan, they executed against that plan, they adjusted when things didn't work, they added new spice to the mix, they did some different things as it went to improve. And they made some mistakes along the way too, but they know what those mistakes are, which takes us to that final point of forward pacing, future pacing for ourselves. Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan that's intended for you to live a well-rounded life, a lifestyle? Not just about your productivity as an agent, but your productivity as an agent leading to better things for you as a person, for your family, for the people that you work with. Are you able to, because you're producing more, be better connected in the community so that your clients can benefit from those connections, whether it be a plumber or a painter or other professions that start with a P? How about a roofer? How about people that can do landscaping? Those things happen because your production levels increase. Think of it this way. You have to have the foundations in place to have a repeatable model before you can worry about tempo or speed or ease, right? Think about when you taught your kids how to walk, or think about you when you first started learning how to drive a car. Learning the basics made it easier for you to get there with less stress, right? I don't mean walking versus driving. I mean, driving is really stressful when you first start it. As you get better at it and get more accomplished at it, driving becomes an easier thing to do. There's more things on auto reflex. At the same time, you enjoy the process more. You enjoy the sights more. Does that make sense? There's a big difference between the basics and that next step, which is becoming much better. So if those things are all in place for you, man, again, high five, we're good to go. If they're not, and you want to talk about how to put those things in place for your business, whether you're with my team or not, drop me a line down below. Let's get connected. Martin Taggart Team Real Estate. Life is better with the team.